welcome, good morning, you melodramatic meth heads. You are tuning in to the Weeaboo Corner. Ooh, what can I say? I am your host, Best Boy, and today we are tackling decency itself. We got everything a man could want in this fantastic episode. We got girls, we got indecency, we got getting naked every 2 seconds, we got vampire lollies, and we got Pornhub's most popular category. So strap the fuck in, grab yourself a grandma, grab some popcorn, and put that hearing aid in. Let's get the fuck down to business. Woo! Revue Starlight is a show that I actually didn't expect to be engrossed in as much as I was. So we find ourselves in Seisho Music Academy preparing for the yearly Seisho Festival, following the girls of the 99th class, involving 8 girls performing their very own version of the performance Starlight, a tragedy about 2 goddesses connected by fate by the glow of the heavens and destined to be torn apart, never to see one another again. The school is created to improve the skills of the students and bring out the very best in every single one of them in singing, dancing, and all other acting things going on. Seisho Music Academy, gotcha. They know everything you need, and they advocate for it. We follow Karen, who is a 16-year-old student and not a 35-year-old white woman who won't wear a mask in the middle of Petco. She's dreaming her whole life to perform Starlight with her childhood friend Hikari, because Hikari left Karen to go to a London performance school instead. One day, Hikari just straight up moves back to the city, just enrolls into Karen's class to perform Starlight with everyone. But there's a pretty strange trick to this. Karen finds a bizarre secret elevator, and it takes her to this awesome, humongous underground theater packed with the most advanced lighting rig you've ever seen, and a talking giraffe. What we're told is that this theater is more than that. It's an arena where these 8 girls and Hikari can battle out their feelings and emotions that they kept pent up inside to see exactly who is the one destined to be the top star of them all, who will be the lead role in Starlight, who shines the brightest. So Karen takes her childhood promise to the grave as she takes up arms to be the top star with Hikari together, hand in hand, to perform Starlight. And really, I had a fucking banger of a time. From the first episode, the art style in the show is absolutely incredible. But what I was really blown away by was the absolute passion you can feel radiating from this show. Every single episode is so clearly well written that I was under the full belief that this was written by theatre kids. It's got so much childlike wonder about the characters, a full imagination and motivation you can only find within these girls. When they make promises, you can feel the warmth from them. Every single meaningful word coming out. These girls are wholesome as all hell, despite their personal battles, which the show really gets down into. We get a lot of backstories when we need a better understanding of the more complex characters, but with very little predictability, we can only really tell the stories of the untold characters. We can already tell them. They're driven and they're content, but they still work so hard in the passions that they hold close. There were only about 2 backstories, 2 episodes worth of backstory even, and I hope it stays that way. The story became so clearly coherent from then onwards. I'd say that the backstories gave me more of an appreciation of some of the characters even, as these stories weren't there to enhance the dislike of some of the characters, but to give a more grander, more broader, deeper understanding of why they act the way they do. Even giving a lot more answers to how they've been acting throughout the series. 9 characters though. That's a lot of characters. Ultimately, I just followed Karen and Hikari, but the other 7 were so full of life and spotlight that it was hard to ignore the place that they had in this show. All characters, as I saw them, had such varied personalities. You can quite clearly tell exactly who's who and what they love and what they have their passion in, as the other girls around them also find passion in that also. Some girls that love baking, sewing, costume creation, motorbikes, secretly crushing over their roommates, potatoes. There's just such clear feeling in everything that they're doing. When these girls fight, I can't lie, everything gotta go down. Phone down, switch down. Even if I'm eating, that thought gotta go down. I don't care if my food gets cold. You gotta watch every single move that goes on during these fights, because it could be over like that. Like, they're so fantastically choreographed. Like, their attacks are performed with their feelings. Like, they put their whole heart into these battles, aiming only to knock their opponents clean off their shoulder. Their opponent's cloak clean off their shoulder. These fights can take a man's breath away. Even every single fight that begins, we're given this breathtaking montage of the costume creation for Karen, with this huge industrial style factory fixing up these garments with golden buttons and tassels, and everything prints out on his clothes. We are greeted by a powerful introduction to the fight by either Karen herself or a duetted introduction involving another girl also, and together they perform some kind of rendition of Starlight. some version. Along these fights, we're actually given a fucking amazing song, one after another, sung with one's heart and their feelings and their emotions and the power behind these feelings almost driving their sword closer to their opponent. We can feel the drama coming from these fights, like it's an argument or a conversation, getting deeper, more complex, and the more it continues until a certain resolve is felt by one character and the curtain falls, and we're shown exactly who had the most passion in this performance, who cared the most. And we do get to see Starlight as a performance, albeit kinda brief, but it's a definite performance of Starlight. The true performance of Starlight is all throughout the series, sprinkled throughout this show. All of these girls representing a character in the performance. This is about them. Revue Starlight is more than just a show that's fighting through. It's more than just a show that's about fighting. It's clearly a show about girls wanting with all of their heart to be girls of the stage, wanting to shine the most, with their own desires and loves. And it's with these desires that we find expectations on how their friends should be feeling towards them, expectations that are broken, and real ass disappointment can be felt and seen by these girls when they are shown that the people that they know weren't the people that they thought they were in their mind, and then disagreement begins. This is a very real show about tragedy and the resolve to break through that, because at the end of the entire day, this is a show about performance. It's about knowing where your passions lie, holding on to that and pushing forward with your passions in your heart and your promises on your shoulder, so that you can stand there with your best friend and perform Starlight together, even though it's a tragedy and one person is probably gonna die at the end. Revue Starlight was fucking awesome and deserves a solid, beautiful 7 out of 10 for not having one beach episode, but it was so worth watching and having me hooked all the way until the end. Bruh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna talk about Shimoneta. Okay. Shimoneta is the funniest shit I've ever seen since Prison School and Backstreet Girls' Goku Dolls, up until I realized they are both done by the same studio. But goddamn, this show has so much everything. But what's this show actually about? So we live in Japan, where they've introduced new aggressive morality laws, forcing the country to become a place completely void of all things indecent. Every single person is monitored by a choker around their neck, which is, a kind of reminiscent of drip. And if these chokers identify literally any form of indecency, the fucking police will pull up, skirt, and destroy damn near fucking anything as long as it is deemed indecent. So that means, here we go. No porn, no Waluigi hentai, no Riley Reid saying the N-word, no anime where Nami from One Piece is bending over, literally no High School DxD at all. What a fucking bleak existence. So in this new dystopian existence, we got softest boy Tanukichi Okuma, who is the son of a terrorist who rebelled against the morality laws, finally being enrolled, Tanukichi finally being enrolled into one specific high school to get closer to his big best girl crush, Anna Nishinomiya. On man's first day, he's caught up in a terrorist incident. Now, I know you may be wondering, How can one be a terrorist in these times when there's a whole ass morality law that bans literally any indecency? Well, apparently it's not difficult. All you have to do is say dirty words and show people porn in public. What's even better is that this terrorist actually helps Tanukichi, who we'll call Soft Boy for this review, just to help out. She helps him get to school on time. In his getting to school on time and also being berated by his schoolmates, he's straight invited to join the student council with his main crush Anna and the fucking terrorist from before, Ayame Ayame, whose secret identity is actually Blue Snow, infamous dirty joke terrorist and founder of the terrorist group Socks, and Soft Boy is invited to be its co-founding member. So Soft Boy spends the entire series doing the most, spreading indecency, drinking girl cum, wearing panties on his face, eating girl cum cookies, being stalked by a yandere psychopath who he was catfished into believing she was the purest girl in the world, basically gargling girl cum, and dressing up like some kind of dominatrix stripper, and a girl. Eventually, all of this leads up to launching a full assault on the government, and the school is the starting point. Somewhere halfway through the series, we're introduced to probably the worst fucking villain I've ever seen in my life, White Peak, whose motives are just janky, and I believe it's something along the lines of being surrounded by all the used panties in the world. What does this what does this mean? What this does expertly is that it introduces a shared enemy between Socks and the Decency Brigade in an almost hostage situation, and what the man does to the entire school is insane. It's as if White Peak became Ultron, covered in panties, literally a morph suit made out of panties. He sips water with used panties in the glass. He turns the school into a factory that constantly forces women to put on new underwear, use them for a little bit, and then they give the used pairs to the main villain. Rinse and repeat, except don't rinse. The series ultimately is very exciting for the first watch. After the second arc of the series, I realized that the true shine comes from the introduction of the series. With all these characters coming together to form Socks, we have so many various brilliant personalities that join Socks. Not to shit on some brilliant moments like Anna, sexually assaulting Soft Boy, or Anna jumping off of a cliff with her cum drizzling through the air in the form of tiny sparkles of glitter. That's about her personality. That's Anna. Anna is a yandere. She's pure all the way up until she gets a tiny little taste of indecency, and like clockwork, she becomes this sex-crazed yandere maniac who wants to vacuum suck Soft Boy's member until he fills her up with baby gravy, and that's about it. That's about her whole personality. Soft Boy is a soft virgin who got duped into linking with a yandere, and Ayame is literally an entire terrorist who just loves saying dirty words. That's the extent of these personalities. There's amazing bits of them, but ultimately that's it. The most well-written thing about this entire series is its creativity when it comes to not saying dirty words. The analogies, bro, the way that they avoid the actual word. I've never heard so many different ways to say the word dick and pussy in my life, but I have grown. I was today years old when I found out you can straight up call it a meat pickle with a straight face. For a show with literally negative plot, the show actually has a really substantial amount of plot in it. It's as if we ourselves are on the side of the civilians, unable to see a titty without it being illegal. But then we're shown the final reveal, and as much as they, well, at least as much as they want to show us, at least, of kind of witty, kind of titty. Sometimes it's the insinuation of something lewd or explicit, but we're never really given a full display of the deed being done. Up until episode 4, then it just gets crazy. I can't talk about episode 4 because I basically explained the plot already. But ultimately, Tanukichi basically gargles girl cum and eats cookies with semen and girl cum. So the world built around us is reminiscent of Japan on the under levels of the show. but it's a neo-futuristic dystopian world, so obviously they're not going to explore anything more than a forest, a school, and a coffee shop. The world's just, it's not there when it comes to creativity. The concept, yes. The display, not so much. Despite that, there's a fair lack of exciting moments from our end. It's as if the show is meant to be heavily explicit. There's still a lack of excitement, and it's like they could have done more. Every operation usually goes off without a problem, but that's the problem. They explain the plot firsthand and then they just straight up perform the action. It's like Mission Impossible. It's like watching a more simple-minded, corny Mission Impossible. The stunts, be as they may, are fucking hilarious. The absolute sheer ridiculousness of how these scenes are performed are insane. And I love them all the time, but I always feel like the real true excitement came from Softboy being terrified of the girl he likes. I don't want to say there's a lack of final awakening, but man doesn't touch walls once. He dresses up like some kind of dominatrix stripper, but is that truly a final awakening? He admits to liking dirty jokes and being turned on by indecency, but is that truly a final awakening? Is it? The music in the show is definitely milquetoast at best. It is a mixture of slice of life and darkness's theme in Konosuba, and the OP is probably the only song worth remembering in this entire show. But the way the show takes me by surprise is that even though the show may not have been it may not have the most exciting moments or progression, the show does kind of ring exciting for me, but only really until episode 6. After episode 6, I'd say the show just gets a very strange enemy, and the morals of the series just really get put to the test. Now, I hear you asking your computer screens, but with all these mixed messages, is the show worth watching? Fucking obviously, you mango. This show has so much humor and connection to its audience. It's like you've had a full drought of harem ecchi anime, and you're starting to get kind of sick of anime teas. So you feel impure watching High School DxD, like some kind of weird incel. But then you start to open your eyes to the secret beauty of anime teas. The indecency fuels you, and suddenly you're watching the first 2 minutes of A Sister's All You Need again. Realistically, I can't believe I went the entire review without talking about the amazing, steamy plot at the end of episode 4 in greater detail, but that kind of shit will turn you into a man no matter what gender you are. So with all of that, Shimoneta gets a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10? 6 out of 10. Aight, so what we got? Dumbbells. What's the question? How heavy are they? In this slice of life that I originally thought was a joke for some reason. But no. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift is a slice of life about working out, getting hench and swole, building gains, and fucking wrestling too, man. Why not? Why not? The story is ultimately that Hibiki Sakura has her weight pointed out to her, and she thinks it's a fucking great idea, fucking fantastic idea to start going to the gym. Since she is unmotivated at home along the line, we get a very realistically exaggerated representation of going to the gym. Gym's first timers who have never seen a gym before, never even imagined what they look like. We also get various different characters every episode: Akemi, Ayaka, Best Girl Gina, Miss Tachibana, and obviously Muscle Bro Machio, who, and I've seen compilations of the Migos flexing for hours, flexes more than anything and anyone I'd ever seen. And every time he flexes, all of his clothes just rip off entirely. Eventually, he just stops wearing clothes. It just makes sense. I guess constantly buying new tracksuits was financially exhausting. So, during Hibiki's escapades at the gym, she makes friends with popular girl Akemi, who's starting the gym at the exact same time, only to find out that she's a fucking freak who wants big muscled up dudes to break her off in every single place imaginable. Everyone else, pretty tame. Secretly, Hibiki only joined the gym because she saw Machio and was instantly interested, but after day 1 there, we find out that not only is Machio a flexed up bodybuilder himself, but he actually teaches you valuable workout lessons that you can keep in mind when you go to the gym one day in your worthless life, or in the comfort of your own home. And to top it off, he also gives you a nice little naked lady right at the end of it, just to keep you satisfied. You horny weeb boy. Look at you. In your house, just being horny. Don't worry, man. Me too. Every single episode, he gives us some kind of lesson of working out or how to work out safely, giving us super insightful understandings of the world of bodybuilding. And even though I wasn't even remotely interested in it in the past, it was still interesting and it kept me active. The story mainly doesn't really have an end goal, rather than keep working out and see what happens throughout the show. The only downside to this is that with no coherent storyline, the activities are all over the damn place, and sometimes we'll just straight up be following people walking around, trying to find something to do. What is this? Walking around my house with no internet, trying to find some kind of enjoyment out of an unplanned day simulator? I got a strong urge to say that the plot only truly gets so much better after the gang really comes together. With all the girls and sometimes Machio, we have a lot of fantastic ideas and scenarios that unfold and really take a lot of the gang out of their comfort zones. Things like idol competitions. Huh? I just said the same thing 3 times? No, because I basically, the second one is a different thing in its entirety, so, I just said the same thing twice. You might be familiar with Machio. Actually, as the man himself is such a staple mascot for the series, you must have seen him. You must be familiar with Machio. Everyone's familiar with Machio. A big ass bodybuilder body with a tiny ass anime face. I don't know what to say other than I'm gonna look like that man one day. Inspirational. Wholesome hunk of beauty. Goddamn. So, what we are to believe during the series is that Hibiki actually does achieve a final awakening throughout the show. She loses her weight and she becomes the very best version of herself. And that should be enough to settle it, but nope. You sucker, you absolute sucker. No, absolutely not. No. Despite getting a final awakening, this show clearly explains to you that you can get as swole as you want in life, but the moment you stop going to the gym, that's all coming back, baby. And it's coming back even harder than ever, and it's even harder to lose this time. So what we're to entirely understand is that Hibiki became the one person she feared the most, a whole bodybuilder. Paired up with this, we also have a beach episode. Yes! Oh my god. Naturally, a beach episode should be an episode that brings characters together in harmony. The sunset grazing the ocean, the waves slowly coming in as the girls all play in the water in their swimsuits for absolutely educational purposes. Nope! None of that here. Absolutely none of that in here. In fact, we get like the minimal beach. There's no swimming. Eventually, what they actually do is work out and do burpees in the middle of the beach. Wow. Very fun and slice of life. The world building isn't exactly something amazing to ooh and ah over, but secretly the one world you should be concerned with is the gym. Cause, homie, I'ma be honest with you, that's about where most of the excitement is. I believe there was a universe where this was funny, and it does have its moments, but this was about as much of a comedy as School Days is. An occasional joke here and there, but ultimately it all fell down on absurdist humour. Oh wow, a girl is working out doing a whole perfect deadlift on stage wearing a kendo mask. Wow, Hibiki is secretly an arm wrestling demon. Wow, she can punch a sandbag off the chains with one punch. After you get the gist of the entire show, it just kind of writes itself. The humour is just a written part of the personalities of the characters. Like, they're not even jokes anymore, it's just a part of the conversation. Of course, we have best girl Gina, who flew in straight from Russia and learned all of her Japanese from anime and manga like a true queen. There is a mysterious Terminator lookalike in the show too, but you can never be too sure about these things nowadays. Everything else aside, I didn't really find that the show had anything emotionally gripping or exciting. There wasn't any kind of shared enemy or reason to keep pressing forward, and you might be thinking, what's that got to do with it? And you'd be completely correct. Technically speaking, an anime doesn't need a shared enemy or your set goal in mind to keep the story pressing forwards at a reasonable rate. Sometimes you could just sit around and wait for something cool to happen, but that's my main issue with the story. There's no story. You're just kind of sitting there watching everyone else waiting for something cool to happen, and it never really does. But that doesn't really stop the series from being an absolute wholesome marshmallow of a show, full of educational and helpful tips about losing weight at a healthy pace. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? It's actually anything but boring, cause people just straight up get naked for literally no reason on a regular degular. Notice how I haven't said anything about the music? Cause I was waiting till last to talk about that. Usually I'm not the biggest fan of slice of life soundtracks because a lot of the time it doesn't really know what it wants to be, but with this series the soundtrack fits in so perfectly. The OP Onegai Muscle and the ending Macho and Aim, both of these are outside tracks to the initial In-World series, but are such perfect openers and outros to the series that I just gave up skipping them after I did it once. I just didn't want to feel, it just didn't feel the same not hearing it. Now, best boy, is this worth watching? That's what you sound like. Yes, you dummy. Of course it's worth watching. It's an anime we all needed as a heavyweight champion. As heavyweight champion Weeb stuck on our computer chair covered in chicken wing sauce. An anime that inspires us to be better physically. Now, all we need is one that'll inspire us to do better mentally and financially, and we'll finally have weebs rising up and taking over the world. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift gets a flawless 7 out of 10. Sorry, I lied when I said flawless. 7 out of 10. I'm gonna say it one time and one time only. Arifureta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest, is created for Twilight fans who needed more lollies in their life. I ain't saying it's terrible, but it is what it is. Let me give you a quick rundown, real swift. Regular isekai. One person gets into another world, maybe even 4 people if you're lucky, or unlucky in Naofumi's case. This isekai, whole classroom gets sent to another world. Whoops, all 30 kids. So we got Hajime, who was hit with the Judas beam from one classmate when no one was looking, and he was sent to the depths of the most vaguely titled dungeon in the world, Labyrinth. And I guess there's loads of them around the world because the whole class is tasked with going to the bottom of the labyrinths and saving mankind. And that's about it. So, as Hajime is down here in the lower levels of the dungeon, he makes some friendly animals like a happy rabbit, some really pleasant wolves, and a whole ass bear that tears his arm clean off and eats it with absolutely no qualms. Now, we have to keep in mind that Hajime pre-show is kind of the lowest in the bunch of the bunch in terms of fighting ability and overall strength. So we have to keep a strong assumption that man got no cooch. He was probably bullied too. I'm so sorry. I'm to assume his class is something along the lines of an alchemist, since we see him make a transmutation circle when he's transmuting shit. But what we're given, regardless of this, is that he is a weak ass bitch. With this all in mind, and a whole arm missing, my guy's survival instincts kick in and he transmutes himself into a hole to get away from the bear, all until the bear just gets bored and dips. Man has no arm, no friends, no clout, no hose, no drip, except drip. Oh my god. A strongly descripted mana crystal is dripping some kind of holy water into man's mouth, and it just keeps him alive. It cauterizes his arm, and apparently for some reason drives him completely insane. he just starts formulating plans to trap some of these cute little animal friends, wolves to be specific, and he eats them. But oh no, big problems. Apparently it's a dumb shit idea to eat monster meat, and it burns up his insides like last week's curry, turns him into Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul and Rimuru from Slimy Boy at the same damn time. You can only guess what he does next. I'll give you about 5 seconds to guess. Okay, so what could he have possibly done? Could he have become Could he learn to get better at digging holes? Wrong. He bakes a gun. he makes a gun. Yada yada yada. He kills a couple more things and eats them too. Blah 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 blah. He meets a cute vampire lolly who just so happens to be butt-ass naked and in the same position as my boy over here. So they team up. They were both betrayed by their teammates and they were put down this hole, so I think it takes them about 1 episode to fall in love. But hold on, because we also meet a fine-ass rabbit girl somewhere throughout the show, actually about episode 5? No, episode 6. And the whole thing, the thing I absolutely love about this entire series is how it just kind of cuts the bullshit when it wants to be a slice of life. It's got good, violent amount of action, and the progression Hajime makes from being what he used to be like. This show is definitely everything but unexciting. The team, however, even though it is literally just 3 people, didn't entirely strike me as memorable. I feel like I've seen a lot of these characters before, every single one of them. Hajime looks exactly like Kaneki, has the powers of Rimuru, the personality, and sounds exactly like Naofumi. Arifureta just kind of strikes me as a poor man's shield hero. We've seen isekai, so we know that the main goal of most of them, most of the times, defeat the demon lord and go back home, but with this it's a little bit less complicated. It's like there's no enemy in the whole series, we're just trying to go home. And it doesn't really feel like that much of a great idea from here on, bruh. Just take a look at yourself. And the rest of the classmates, bruh, I'm not even going to talk about the rest of the classmates, bruh. They don't matter. They're cannon fodder, faceless, unimportant, and I hate them to this day. Secretly enough, though, all throughout the entire series, I never found a single opportunity to feel redemption from these characters. Every single one of the classmates has deemed me as just faceless and unimportant. So let's talk about the pacing, because I believe it stands that the show retains a really solid and steady pacing of moving forward throughout the show and the world and tackling labyrinths, and even with an entire episode dedicated to recapping the first 4 episodes, the show really paces itself really well. It's 12 whole episodes long, and I'm confident that the series isn't ever going to get a second season. But it does end on a somewhat somber and wholesome note. Hajime still has 2 hoes, the class remains useless, and I believe that the ultimate personal goal of the protagonist is still kind of accomplished, I guess. Given that they absolutely do not get back home to the real world, I should really throw in that the monsters in the show are distinguishedly designed, and I hate them. But I feel like it just kind of makes sense that, it doesn't really entirely have the most satisfying ending. It was a light novel at first, and the monsters are made out of CG, and it's hard, it's hard to watch this sometimes. But the fact that it was a light novel first, it really kind of explains how this goes from isekai to harem in 0.2 seconds. The main character achieves a final awakening status after the first labyrinth, and the bunny girl fills in for every single bit of plot that we needed. But is there a beach episode? Nope. What we got to keep in mind, we just get nothing. Like, what we got to keep in mind is this an isekai of 12 episodes, so we're never really going to get that much out of it except for a decent story. But what this show lacks in emotion, it really picks up in action. But I never really felt excited knowing that Hajime is pretty much one punch man of the series and can basically win with every single battle. The music slaps sometimes, but the OP and the ending are aggressively mid, and I'm confident that the OP has dubstep in it. The font is resemblant of Attack on Titan. What I'm trying to say in my back and forth is that this show has a lot in it, but it is mid. It's got good, bad, but it just don't hit as hard as it could. Secretly, Arifureta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest, is a series that is the embodiment of a power fantasy that is perfect for people who think that Kaneki is the best ghoul. And for that, it won't get a 5 out of 10. Because the entire show I really refrained from talking for 10 straight minutes about Shia, the bunny girl's humongous plot. Arifureta is going to get a 7 out of 10. It was a good story, fantastic. Like the execution was there. There's just something about it. There's just something about it. Oh my days. Domestic girlfriend. Oh, hey, I'm gonna try and run through this as easy as I can, and I'm gonna try not to get pissed off while I do it too. So we have Natsuo, who is a fucking dork, gets invited to a mixer with his friends where they just date, and they just introduce themselves or whatever, and Natsuo meets Rui, a blue-haired contender for best girl that we've just not seen it yet. She has everything that you could ever want in a girl. She's emotionally distant, hard to understand, never talks about her feelings honestly, doesn't completely understand human emotion, like, at all. What more could you want in a girl? Oh, sorry. And she's entirely willing to fuck Natsuo on the first day that she meets him. The problem is that Natsuo is secretly in love with his teacher Hina. So to get over her, he goes to this mixer and meets Rui. So they perform the nasty in less than 2 minutes into the series, and we get our first introduction into the spice. What we are to understand is that Natsuo's mum is 6 feet under and loving it. Natsuo's dad, on the other hand, not so much. So he's finally getting remarried after 10 years and in the simpiest fashion. And who on earth could truly be Natsuo's new stepmom? But the mother of both Hina and Rui. Fantastic. Amazing. Now I understand. You might be thinking, didn't Natsuo beat Rui's cheeks not long ago? And you'd be completely correct. However, it was before they became brother and sister. So obviously they're not going to do anything like that again, right? Wrong. Pretty much every episode is another bin bag thrown into the dumpster fire, as Natsuo constantly reminds us of the step-sibling category and breaks every single boundary he sees. They're not blood-related, so it's completely, perfectly fine that Rui wants to make out with Natsuo while Hina walks in, only to find out from Natsuo himself that Hina secretly had feelings for him since the very beginning, because they're not blood-related. So it's super okay for Natsuo to knock up Rui and agree to marry her in front of her parents, who are also married in their own world, which would make Natsuo his own dad's nephew, and their eventual daughter will be the niece of both their parents. What is even going on here? I can't even be completely mad, because low-key I finished the series in 2 days, but I had to take a break from the entire series and just go to sleep eventually, because this is what a soap opera truly is. It's got drama, spice, sugar, everything nice, action, comedy? They're not blood related or anything, so it's got some very uncomfortable situations that you don't really want to be in, but the way man gets in them, oh my god. I've never seen a man dig a hole this deep in my life, but the most like inspirational thing is that he just keeps digging. just keeps digging. There's no stopping this man. Of course, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. How could I have ever forgotten the beach episode? Woo! Yeah, baby. Unlike a fair amount of beach episodes, this one, quite similarly to Eromanga Sensei, really fleshes out the thoughts and feelings of Hina and Natsuo. Hina makes some strong and valid points in response to how Natsuo feels about her, and to be fair, she's kind of got the ball going on course here. she's really got it, like on goal, on score. She's got it exactly. It's going into the goalpost, but then Natsuo blocks it so fast by honestly just being a fucking idiot. And I was a Hina stan from day one, but she just shocks me. Every single time she makes a decision, literally any decision at all, I'd be a madman to ignore the fact that the music in the show had me actually shaking. Absolutely fucking stellar soundtrack. It's filled with such aggressively varied feelings, chaotic and beautiful at the same damn time. It's like a perfect exaggeration of the feelings in the show, almost drip feeding us how we're supposed to feel, almost like how laugh tracks tell us when we're supposed to laugh. Sometimes we get a fantastic composition other times we're just given complete silence, and it's so perfect whenever it's inserted, just to exaggerate the scene so well. Every single scene, every episode ends on some kind of bruh moment that will have you fucking pissed off. Just pissed off. The pacing in the series is so brilliantly set up. Unlike Arifureta, we don't get a whole fucking episode that's just recap. All we're given is just plot, just straight story. The show knows exactly what it is, and it fucking sticks with it. This is such a good soap opera in a full sense that everything is always happening one way or another. Natsuro always makes a stupid fucking decision. Rui always makes a dumb fucking decision. Hina makes very questionable decisions, but I love her anyway. There's just so much going on. I nearly forgot that they're not blood related. How could I even forget that? This show, I'm gonna say it. This show is literally a longer, more fleshed out version of the step sibling category. It's got a banger OP, it's got a very nice ending as well, but that last episode did not do the manga justice at all, and Hina deserved better, Rui deserved better, Natsuro deserved nothing. Good day, sir. I have no idea why he does anything, really. The entire series, I gotta say, I fucking vibe. I fucking vibe with this dramatic bullshit. So I'll say it louder for the boys in the back. They are not blood related or anything weird like that. A domestic girlfriend gets an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Woo! Well, we made it. We made it to the end of our adventure. What was your favourite part of the show? Yeah, I kind of like that part too. My favourite part was when I finally broke down the walls of sibling, not sibling, kind of sibling, but not really sibling relationships for y'all for really just too long. So come and join me in the best girl corner and meet our contenders. We've got Karen from Revue Starlight, Anna, Nishikinomiya from Shimoneta, Gina Boyd from How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, Shia from Arifureta, and Hina from Domestic Girlfriend. And the winner is... hold up, let me get some paper. Wow, it's Hina from Domestic Girlfriend. Oh my god. Oh wow, who would have thought? That's amazing, because even though she spoke so much sense for as long as she did, she gave us everything a man could truly want in a girlfriend. Also being your teacher and your older sister. So that's been this has been the penultimate episode of season 1 of the Weeaboo Corner. I've been your host, Best Boy, and now get the hell out of my corner. Woo-wee! Woo-hoo! Bye.
I got mid-dick energy, catch me in the crib with my cat sipping Hennessy, noodles in the bowl, got the toast with the sesame, blunt roll, about to watch the 3rd Human Centipede. That's gross. And I don't got frenemies, any nigga wanna be afraid of me, evade me then. Duck out. Cause I never been a bitch, if you wanna fight, I'ma throw the stars like a ninja. Chrome silverware, got a chrome microwave, really with the cake, that I'm about to join the heavyweights. And I'm not with the imitates, trying to get a buzz, I'm the bee, no lemonade.